Well, really maximizing the value for the customers. So I got a really good advice when we landed the first pilots that like overserve those customers. And now we have been overserving every single customer we get. And it's even though like we don't think about that, is it like yesterday we traveled to a completely different city with two persons to kick off a pilot, and probably like our travel cost and time spent was more than the money we got. So we never think about it like this, that we need to get like the instant value of the customer, but we need to like give the maximum value to the customer, no matter how much we need to work. So that's been the key, like the customer should get like a super premium experience and value when they work with us. And that's like the only path to success.
Laura Avonius is a skilled professional with a proven track record of leadership in tech organizations and a passion for effecting change. She continuously pushes boundaries and creates significant impact through Audicin, a science-based digital health startup. Introduced in 2022 to the market as a B2B well-being solution, it delivered an impressive 83% increase in well-being and a remarkable 400% boost in productivity monthly. In addition to her corporate expertise, Laura navigates greatly in the startup sphere, overseeing product development and leading software teams. Besides that, Laura is an award-winning composer and musician, gathering accolades in the musical realm. All right, Laura, thank you very much for joining me today on this CareMinds podcast episode. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Laura, I wanted to start this conversation with you talking about the innovative product of yours called Audicin. I think it combines the words audio and medicine, and you told me about the idea a little bit before, and I found this concept quite interesting. And I would love our audience to find out more about that. So let's talk about your company Audicin in the context of product innovation and market fit. Let's start with the idea behind the product and how it helps people to recharge at their workplace.
Yes. So the idea behind of product is that I learned at some point how much kind of medical potential music and sound waves have. So Einstein already said back in the days that the future of medicine is frequencies, because every single body part and organ has a frequency, and we can impact those frequencies. So it's all kind of physics, but it hasn't yet really realized its potential as a medicine, sound and music. So we started to study that with my team. We have a scientist on board and then an audio engineer who is specialized in the sound mapping in human brain and cognitio. And we discovered, or we created our own innovation, how to create music for nervous system regulation. And we discovered that this innovation is so potent, the treatments are so potent that they even work when you are working. So basically we have mixed in different ingredients, also including binaural beats and 360 surround sound. And when you are doing your work, we can start the intended brain waves and the parasympathetic nervous system. And this is then visible in your smart devices like smartwatch or smart rings as a restorative time. And it has a significant improvement to your heart rate variability also in long term. So you rest, but you concentrate better and you achieve your targets.
Mm-hmm. This is a very interesting prerequisite. And I wanted to ask you a follow-up question with regards to that. When you originally came up with this idea, what kind of market analysis shown you what kind of similar solutions were available, and how does Audicin differ from that, given that this is a fairly new field in terms of like having actual physical products in it? So what would be your take on that?
Yes, there are competition. You're right, it's a fairly new field, but our competition is also wide. Like we don't only look at sound and music solution, but we also look other workplace well-being and productivity improvement tools. So it's kind of a wide range, and also cognitive augmentation, like those helmets that regulate your brain waves and so on. So it's a wide competition field, and there is plenty of competition. How we are different is that first of all, we work while you are working. So most of our competitors, they are built on the assumption that the user needs to do some active breath work or meditation or take a break, or then they need to be wearing quite cumbersome hardware like these cognitive augmentation helmets or meditation headbands. So we are hardware free in that way that we rely only on the app on the phone, and you only need headphones. And then if you have a wearable device, we will integrate with that, but you don't basically need to acquire any new hardware or be wearing any cumbersome helmets. And also it's a non-invasive way. So it's your own brain that creates the binaural beat. So it's in a way soft and always gives you the right dosage, and it's a side effect free. So two things, it's easy to take into use because it doesn't require any new hardware, and it's not like most people wouldn't want to maybe sit in the office like a helmet in their head.
Yes.
And then the other thing, that you don't need to do anything extra other than putting the headphones on and pressing play. And you don't need to worry about your breathing. You don't need to worry about taking a break, but you can go on with your busy day. So our target group is extremely busy, and they kind of struggle to take any kind of active actions to regulate their nervous system during the day.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Sometimes it's very hard to actually take a rest, even like have make a conscious effort. And the low entrance of usage is extremely key. I definitely agree. When talking to potential customers, how do you ensure, what kind of questions did you ask initially about like coming up with the use cases for the product? How did you make sure that the idea resonates with the potential buyers?
Well, we went to the field and selling as early as possible before we even had a delivery channel for these treatments. So we started to test them with real target group members and then doing sales as soon as possible. So I did the first sale actually with the biggest private sector employer in Finland, who has 15 billion in revenue. So it was a high risk case in that way that it had to succeed. And we didn't yet have an app at that point. So then I needed to very fast come up with the solution with the white label app that we just packaged them, the treatments there, and went there and started to pilot with them to get in a bit of revenue, but also to learn there in real environment with real users, real paying customers, that how does this product work? Mm-hmm. And our original idea was that people would take those breaks, and they would be even maybe like a break room where you go and listen, but this was very apparent early on that people don't have that kind of luxury because nobody does their work while they are on a break. And these high achievers, knowledge workers, they just want to achieve their targets and go home, and then they need to be with their families and hobbies and whatnot. So we needed to make sure that the product works while they are working. So that was the kind of innovation that happened with the customers.
Mm-hmm. Very important points of productizing early and leveraging existing technologies, just getting it out there, and also door-to-door selling. We're in 21st century, but that still works. So it's pretty interesting to that you're mentioning this. Yeah, and the product is fairly new. The industry is fairly new. How do you make sure that you adapt to the market changes? Maybe there is a certain feedback that isn't coming about a certain use case with a product. How do you go about that at the stage now?
For us, it's very important to be close to the users and the customers. So we have been putting a lot of effort when we onboard a new customer. They get like the premium extra luxury customer service from us, because that's actually the way to make sure. So we measure them in the beginning of the pilots. We monitor how they use it, and then we measure them. So we all the time learn. And our strategy is to learn in this B2B environment how the product needs to work also with the B2C consumers, because with them, of course, we only get the data, but we don't get to talk to them directly.
Yeah.
So we are using very much this B2B audience to perfect the product and to learn from them that what do they need, to be very close to the customers. And it is slower than like doing mass sales digitally, way slower. But this is the way to be close to the customers and talking with them, getting feedback directly, and also via the data is the way to be able to react and make the perfect product market fit.
Mm-hmm. And speaking about product market fit for B2C, the way of productizing that is different compared to B2B, like yes. You mentioned. And what do you think would enable Audicin to go to that step? And how would be the process of productizing going to market differ from your current B2B strategy?
Yes, that's a good question. We currently get almost the same amount of monthly recurring revenue from B2C channel as B2B, even though we haven't put any effort on it. So for us, it seems that it's kind of quicker to get sales from B2C as it is from B2B, but then the deal size and kind of loyalty and the contracts are longer in B2B. So we both want to master both of them. And then I guess in B2C, it's going to be very like marketing driven effort that we need to raise the awareness digitally, do social media, do influencer marketing. And it's going to be in that way a different kind of investments, whereas in B2B, we rely on the door-to-door sales, the traditional way, mostly as the most efficient channel. So it's going to be a lot different business when we start to prioritize the B2C as well. And we need to also hire new kind of team members for that. But we believe that this is the same target group, it's just a different channel. So learning to understand the customer and their needs and learning to speak to them in B2B will help us a lot in the B2C as well.
Yeah, it almost seems like these different approaches are sort of like different lenses, but you're essentially looking at the same people. Are you struggling with the staffing challenges when it comes to finding the right talent in today's market? What if there was a company out there who helped you streamline your hiring process and give you access to the top relevant talent? The App Solutions Staff Augmentation is a game changer in today's workforce solutions for health tech. Staff augmentation is a process of seamlessly adding skilled professionals to your existing team through a trusted third party. Your team could be extended in under 3 weeks without you spending countless hours on sourcing, pre-screening, and interviews that ultimately lead to nowhere. Why do you want to go the old way when you can simply remove the overhead associated with sourcing, recruiting, training, and retaining talent? Say goodbye to those costly and time-consuming aspects of traditional hiring. You gain access to high-quality talent pool that has been already pre-screened for technical and domain-based knowledge. And on top of that, selected developers are completely aligned with your working hours, communication style, and processes. We get it. You have doubts and have had disappointing experience when it comes to hiring, and the App Solutions understands the importance of trust and customer satisfaction. You can try one of their skilled software engineers for 2 weeks on real tasks and pay if you're satisfied with the work. That's right, you've heard it correctly. If you're interested, hit the link in the description below, mention the CareMinds podcast, and get your sought-after team extension. Save your time and money now. Now let's get back to the episode. And speaking of marketing, Audicin has pretty remarkable achievements when it comes to improving one's productivity. And I think this is a great case for product marketing itself. But do you mind share with us like what kind of achievements are there so far? What kind of improvements have been delivered, measured, and seen from these companies that are actively looking to engage in these types of solution for improving their workforce's performance?
Yes. So typically in B2B cases, when we have been measuring a team or business unit, we have achieved at least a little bit over 30% improvement in well-being in only 1 month. And this has then led into improvement of productivity. So the well-being improvement comes first, and once people's nervous system are regulated, then they start to excel in their job. So we bring them during the first month, they already become out of the exhaustion kind of path to healthy path. And then the second month, we start to see the productivity improvement. So with our biggest customer, the customer I mentioned, this 15 billion euro turnover customer, they achieved 400% productivity increase during the second month. And this is a revenue generating team, and they measure the KPIs are like customer facing activities, how many sales calls, how many sales meetings you do, how many offers you send. So this was the increase in these sales customer facing activities, 400% during the second month. And after 1 year of using Audicin, they had gained 70% well-being improvement and double-digit growth in a declining market situation. So the results on both the individuals, but also to the company had been significant.
This is great. Thank you, Laura. So when talking about the user experience, when talking about the way of talking through different business channels, it is also important to do the product work. And a big part of that, it seems like, are the clinical research things that you're doing. So can you please enlighten us in terms of what kind of effort, what kind of data is being processed, how the research is being conducted, and ultimately how does it impact the product?
Yes, so we do both academic research and then user research. And these pilots that I mentioned, that we work with paying customers in real business environments, and we all the time measure. So basically everything we do is data and measurement based. And from these various channels, we get understanding from different data sets. So everything plays a role. So we recently did a study with a researcher from Oxford University and our own chief scientist, and that was fulfilling the criteria of academic research. The sample size was 210 people, and we got a very, very statistically significant impact on Audicin to relaxation of a random population. So basically anybody will get relaxed with it, proving the impact scientifically. And then we do all kinds of user research, like diary studies. People are measuring with different wearable devices, then qualitative data, how their life is changing, when are they using it, what impact does it have for them. And then we combine that with this that we use with our pilot customers, which is an instrument from Karolinska University called Karolinska Exhaustion Disorder Scale. So we use different kind of metrics, biofeedback, self-diagnostic tools, and these kind of diary studies, and then the kind of academic research methods in order to get enough data to understand this in depth, that how is it working and how should we move on with the product. Also, just me sitting there with the customers over a year, I get so much kind of silent knowledge that it's like part of this research as well. So we basically only trust in data and research. So we don't make any marketing claims that are not backed up by our own research.
And this is such a comprehensive approach. And combining all these different data sources, but then talking in front of so many people throughout the year kind of helps you internalize that and maybe look at the data slightly different. But it's great to know that anything that Audicin claims is backed up by data. So that's pretty interesting. Since we were talking about the product development through the segments of user experience journey, academics and research, and possibly like integrations with other hardware devices, I wanted to ask you this question. What, in your opinion and in your experience, are the fundamental cornerstones of a greatly built product? It shouldn't be the greatest, most polished version, but let's talk about the MVP version, the version that gets you out there, essentially.
Yeah, that's a really interesting topic, and there is a lot of this in MVP world, this talk that you just need to get something and put it out there and start testing. And I kind of agree with it and kind of not, because it can't be just something. It needs to be something that really creates value in the users and the paying customers' lives. So it's better to test something, like narrow down that what is the feature or benefit that our product has that is already working. So in our case, it was the treatment. So we knew that the sound is already working. So it doesn't matter so much how do we package it. So instead of delaying the process of going to market by building the app, we were able to go to market with borrowing an app from a private podcasting company. But the key and the magic is in the sound treatments, and they were ready. So we didn't go with something that wouldn't work for the customer, if you know what I mean. We knew that this will work. This will already give the benefits, because even though it's this test early approach, you kind of got only one chance with these first B2B clients. For instance, if we would have delivered a shit experience for our first customers, and we would have been in quite a challenging situation to start again, probably needed to change the country or something like that, because the rumors spread fast.
Yeah.
So being sure that yes, you need to go out with the kind of minimum product, like super minimum, like almost embarrassing level, to start to gather the feedback, but still you need to make sure that minimum is delivering benefits, that you are solving a problem for customer already with this one feature or two features that you have. So I would say that's the key, because you don't want to waste anybody's time in this world where everybody is super busy. So if you are delivering them MVP that doesn't solve any problem, they will be quite frustrated about it.
Yeah, I think this is a very interesting and deep point that you brought up. It seems like some companies are too focused on means of delivering whilst not paying attention to the actual value. Like the means of delivering value should be just good enough. Like, yeah, obviously it shouldn't be like super annoying or very hard to experience your product, but it shouldn't be super polished either. And I think this is derivative from, I think, high customer expectations in terms of people are now used to comparing, I think, feature to feature, meaning like getting the most features for the buck, but it doesn't necessarily translate well into digital, semi-digital products like it translates in with the physical products. So it's very insightful that you've brought up that point. Laura, you've mentioned that the product is being integrated with different variables. So how do you make sure that you, as a startup, as a building product, you forge these new partnerships? How do you approach building partnerships in that regard?
Yes, that's a good question. So first of all, we can do this without really interacting with these partners, because there are already startups who have developed, for instance, like this kind of APIs that summarize data from each of the variables, and you can just use their API. Of course, there is the problem that you don't get the data directly, but to do like an MVP version of this, you don't need to actually open up any strategic partnership, or you can just integrate one of these APIs and start using it. But in the longer run, of course, like the more direct relationship you have, and to make sure that you get all the data that you need, you might want to partner with some of them more in depth. So basically, we are going to pick some priority devices where we have like the biggest market penetration, like most of our users will have this device, and then we will look at what is the quality of data we would get from them. And do we get all the data that we need, and then make a kind of selection that who shall we be the closest with. But there is also quite a lot of like inbound interest to our technology. So like the big consumer manufacturers of these devices, they have approached us proactively, because this is a win-win partnership. So that's been like one of the big surprises for me, since we have been very much like garage state startup, and then we discuss with these companies that make several billion revenue, several hundred billion revenue per year, and we are already considered as a interesting partner for them. So it's going to be interesting how this seems, because this was something that I thought that they might feel that we are too small or too early, but that hasn't been the point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is what a great idea does to a business and to a product, and it doesn't really matter where you came up with it. Yeah, and your approach with, once again, I think it ties very good with the previous point of just selecting the means of delivering value, maybe through other products that are kind of easy to integrate and also share your audience is a very, very key concept. Yeah, and I wanted to ask a follow-up question. What was the most kind of like eye-opening insight for you when it comes to product growth or strategic partnerships that you came across, and maybe based on your overall experience, if you don't mind sharing this with our audience?
Well, I think I personally used the product when I was in Arctic 15 in this like investment startup conference in Finland. And I had booked myself 9 investor meetings for one day. And I was thinking that I'm going to be so dead and I will go home and just lie on the couch and eat a lot of bad carbs with no brain cell working after this. Like seriously scared, how will I survive? And during the lunch break, I put Audicin on and I did the follow-up emails to all of these investors that I meet before lunch to be ready for the afternoon, and anticipating that in the evening I will have no energy to send those follow-ups anymore. And I spent 1 hour doing that, and I ate and I wrote those emails, and then I stopped listening to Audicin and came out of that session to be ready to go to the next investor meeting and handle the afternoon. And I was completely 100 refreshed. Like it was like a new morning, and I was so full of energy and so happy and so well rested. So then I was like saying to the investors who were yawning and super tired at 5 p.m. after doing the same kind of day as me, I was like, look at you, look how tired you are. And look at me, I am like super energized. So that was, I think that was like one really, really key moment when I realized that this product works while you are working. This is the unique selling point. And then we started to study it, and then we changed the whole kind of strategy that how do we talk to our customers, and came up with the slogan that recharge while you are working.
It's very insightful to find out that the product itself drives so many aspects of your business now that you just kind of like working on just enhancing people knowing about this, and once again improving the means of delivering it rather than being focused on so many different things, which is a thing when it comes to product management nowadays. Laura, today's economy is difficult to say the least. How do you make sure that you meet your financial goals with Audicin whilst making sure that you are still very customer-centric in the B2B segment? You're exploring the B2C segment. So what are your kind of like go-tos when it comes to operating that side of product?
Yes, it's been like we started the company February 22, 2 weeks before Russia attacked Ukraine. So probably the worst possible time in history in terms of the financial, like the investment market went closed immediately. And then everybody says that this year has been the hardest year in B2B sales ever, at least here in Finland, where we are piloting and selling first. So it hasn't been like smooth sailing financially and easy and like it's never is in startup, but I think it's been like especially hard. But I am like this forever optimistic person, like the level of maybe a little bit crazy, but I see that this has been positive thing because it has forced us to go to the customer and real money, the healthy money, proving our business case and working with customers, and also running this with very tight budget. So we basically developed the product with only half of the budget. We were able to build the apps and everything. So we have become very smart in making investments, how to get a lot done with limited funds. And I also, now that in Slush we got a very, very skilled investors on board who have done exit in the product close to our product and done a global success and who share the values with us. It made it very obvious for me that it was really good that we got no's from all the VCs before that like in this situation, getting this kind of optimal investor who absolutely gets the value of the product, has the same vision and has all the skills that your team is lacking and needing, instead of having somebody who is just doing this as a kind of investment job, that we have lots of startups, we get the money and we expect fast returns. So it all made sense to me that this is why it's been so tough for us, that we were just waiting to meet these right people. And now I feel like that was a total game changer for us. And now if we would have had the wrong kind of investors on board, it would be really bad. So in a way, we were saved by this tight market investor so that now we have the ready product, we have the ownership in the hands of the founders, and then the investors who are on board are bringing so much value that it's like unbelievable. So I'm kind of grateful for this tough economic situation.
This is a great insight. And yeah, especially in this type of environment in this time, I think it is just another proof to how great the product is. Because if you're able to drive sales in this kind of environment, then when things get better, you just scale it up. And I think that we can wrap up with your, I think, top 3 rules that get you day to day when it comes to building the business with Audicin. What are the 3 key things that you're always thinking about when it comes to business development?
Well, really maximizing the value for the customers. So I got a really good advice when we landed the first pilots that like overserve those customers. And now we have been overserving every single customer we get. And it's, even though like we don't think about that, is it like yesterday we traveled to a completely different city with 2 persons to kick off a pilot, and probably like our travel cost and time spent was more than the money we got. So we never think about it like this, that we need to get like the instant value of the customer, but we need to like give the maximum value to the customer no matter how much we need to work. So that's been the key, like the customer should get like a super premium experience and value when they work with us, and that's like the only path to success. And then the second thing, I think the theme is that you work with the people who have the same kind of vision and values. So we are a very values-driven company, and it's a different kind of leadership. So in our team, we don't feel like we are, the best win is not the money. The best win is when somebody is improved in their well-being. So that's what the team celebrates the most. And it's a little bit different to lead a team like that than to lead a team that is very money motivated. Yeah. Because your integrity needs to be 100% every day. And they only follow a leader that has the same values and stands behind those values. So you can't make mistakes in that. And then I think third is to just take care of yourself, because this is a really hard game. So whatever as a startup founder you can do to improve your own health, mental well-being, and overall kind of survival through the tough years, that should be a priority.
That's a great summary, Laura. Thank you very much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I think this episode is fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been my pleasure.
Thank you very much for watching this CareMinds podcast episode with Laura Avonius, founder, CEO, and CTO of Audicin. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this episode and drop us a comment below. Help us push this video to more like-minded individuals. Please consider subscribing and hitting the bell notification. This also helps our channel to produce more content like this. Until next time.